Good evening. My name is Mark W. Sweadner. My main concern with this proposed budget, as with all past adopted budgets, is the large amount of taxes our citizens are required to pay due to the inefficient use of our financial resources. The inefficient use of financial resources I'm referring to is the property taxes and the income taxes all our taxpayers pay. Property taxes in your proposed budget is $268 million, which is over 55% of the operating revenues. The income taxes are proposed at $182 million, or 37% of the operating revenues. Combined, you're taxing the people over $450 million in these two taxes, which make up over 92% of your budget. This will be the second year in a row for this board to adopt a tax rate at or above the constant yield tax rate. By not setting the tax rate at the constant yield tax rate, taxpayers will be paying more taxes in the coming year than they paid in the current year. The board did meet the constant yield tax rate in the first 2 years, which is FY 12 and 13, but only by the exclusion of the fire tax districts from the calculations. I quote from the flyer sent along with your current year's tax bill, quote, "For the past 2 years, the fire tax districts have been subsidized by the general fund in the approximate amount of $16 million. End of quote. What fiscal responsibility? The subsidy for the Montague and citizens, nursing homes during the same period of time is $10 million, $6 million less than what you had here for the fire and rescue budget in the identical fiscal years. Inefficient use of our financial resources. The taxpayers are paying over $22,000 per person in the last fiscal year budget for employees' retirement and health benefit cost. The total cost was in excess of $39 million. Defined benefits plans for retirement are a thing of the past. The taxpayer should not be responsible for paying each county employee 50 to 60% of their higher salaries for life. The county pays $18,000 for each employee's family health plan. The employee pays $3,000 for that. Directors are all paid in excess of $100,000, and the pay scale for the county manager tops $214,000. Pay increases in the proposed budget for FY15 includes a 2% COLA, an additional salary adjustment of 3.5% of the midpoint in the salary scale. County employees receive similar increases in the past. For these 3 years, we're talking about a 15% pay increase. I recently talked to an employee at a local restaurant. They told me they hadn't had a pay increase for 8 years. If I'm elected your county executive, I will cut $20 million from these costs, and I'll refund them to the people that paid for them, the taxpayer. Other examples of the inefficient use of financial resources include the building of an incinerator, rapid and rampant growth policies, and the use of TIFs, tax incremental financings. You use TIFs in the industrial park as well as the one in Jefferson. Recently, Lake Lincoln came to you, asked for another TIF. You approved that. In the last financial statement from the county, June 30th, 13, I'm going to quote about TIFs. Quote, "The county surrenders its tax revenues on the incremental increase in property taxes within the district to pay the debt service on these bonds. In other words, we get to pay for the developer's debt service from the increased value in the assessments, but receive nothing from this increased assessment to pay for the services required by this increased growth. The cost for this increased growth gets paid by us, the existing taxpayer. We need to stop subsidizing development with our tax dollars. Long-term future tax revenues are being surrendered for many years to come. My hope is that we can change these inefficiencies in the use of our financial resources. I was your budget officer from 1990 to 1997, and I'm very much aware of the inefficient uses of our taxpayers' financial resources. Thank you. Mark Sweadner, candidate for County Executive.